Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up, looked in the mirror, and realized that time has been moving forward while you were standing still? Have you felt that creeping sense of irrelevance, that subtle but persistent feeling that the world no longer cares about your presence the way it once did? It's a terrifying realization, but let me tell you something, it's also a lie. People often look back on their younger years with a mix of nostalgia and longing, convinced that those were the best years of their lives. They remember the energy, the excitement, the endless possibilities, and they mourn the fact that those days are gone. But what they fail to see is that youth, for all its vigor, is also marked by uncertainty, insecurity, and a desperate need for external validation. The younger version of yourself was likely more anxious, more easily influenced, and far less aware of who you truly are. As people age, they often feel like they are losing something essential. Their physical appearance changes, their energy levels shift, and they no longer fit into the same cultural spaces they once did. Society reinforces this by placing enormous value on youth, pushing the idea that beauty, success, and relevance are all tied to being young. This belief is not only false, but it is deeply destructive. What many fail to recognize is that aging is not just a process of losing it, it is also a process of refining. With age comes a stripping away of illusions. The need to impress others diminishes. The craving for social approval that once dictated so many choices loses its grip. The expectations that once felt so heavy start to lighten, making room for something much more profound, clarity. Instead of desperately trying to fit into a mold, people who embrace aging begin to understand what actually matters to them. They develop a deeper sense of self, one that is no longer dictated by fleeting trends or external validation. What was once chaos begins to take shape as wisdom. The mistakes of the past become lessons, the failures transform into stepping stones, and the struggles that once seemed insurmountable become proof of resilience. There is a kind of power in knowing who you are, in understanding your strengths and limitations, and in having a well-defined sense of purpose. The reality is that who you were in your younger years was just a rough draft. The version of yourself that exists now is the refined, sharpened, and more authentic version. The process of aging is not one of decline, but one of evolution. Instead of mourning what has been lost, the focus should shift to what has been gained. Because what you have now, perspective, self-awareness, and depth, is something no amount of youth can replace. There is a widespread belief that youth holds the ultimate advantage because of its energy, physical vitality, and boundless enthusiasm. While these qualities are certainly valuable, they are not the most powerful forces in life. Raw energy without direction can be reckless. Enthusiasm without wisdom can lead to impulsive decisions. The true advantage in life comes not from the ability to move quickly, but from the ability to move wisely. And wisdom is something that only comes with experience. Experience provides a depth of understanding that no amount of youthful energy can match. Those who have lived through hardships, faced difficult choices, and learned from their mistakes develop a kind of foresight that younger individuals simply do not have. They recognize patterns, anticipate consequences, and navigate challenges with a level of precision that only time can teach. This is why, in many areas of life, whether in leadership, business, relationships, or personal development, it is not the fastest or strongest who succeed, but those who possess the sharpest judgment. People often fear that as they age, they become less relevant in the world, especially in a culture that glorifies youth. But this belief is a misunderstanding of what truly matters. Knowledge, insight, and strategic thinking hold far more weight than mere physical endurance. A younger person may have more stamina, but an experienced individual knows where to direct their efforts to achieve the best possible results with the least wasted energy. This principle is evident in every aspect of life. In the workplace, those with decades of experience are the ones who can anticipate problems before they arise and make decisions with a level of confidence that younger employees cannot yet achieve. In relationships, those who have lived through conflicts and challenges understand how to handle difficult conversations and nurture lasting connections. In personal growth, those who have endured life's struggles develop resilience and adaptability, allowing them to face the future with a sense of stability that younger individuals often lack. Rather than seeing aging as a process of becoming weaker, it should be seen as a process of becoming sharper, more precise, and more capable. The key is recognizing the value of experience and using it effectively. Those who understand this shift no longer envy the energy of youth, but instead appreciate the power that comes with wisdom. There is a common misconception that as people age, they become fixed in their ways, incapable of change or growth. This belief is not only limiting, but it is also fundamentally untrue. The human brain remains adaptable throughout life, and the ability to learn, evolve, and reinvent oneself never disappears. It simply requires the right mindset. The idea that change is reserved for the young is a myth, and those who accept this myth unknowingly trap themselves in a cycle of stagnation. Many people hesitate to pursue new skills, careers, or passions later in life because they believe it is too late. They tell themselves that they missed their chance, that younger individuals have already taken the lead, or that the learning process will be too difficult. But this way of thinking is nothing more than fear disguised as logic. In reality, people are capable of extraordinary reinvention at any stage of life. The only thing that holds them back is the belief that they cannot start over. Some of the most successful and fulfilled individuals in history found their true calling later in life. Writers, artists, entrepreneurs, and even athletes have all defied the idea that success and purpose must be discovered in youth. The truth is that life unfolds in unpredictable ways, and the experiences gained over decades often serve as the foundation for a completely new direction. What may have seemed impossible at 20 becomes entirely achievable at 50 because of the wisdom, patience, and resilience developed over time. The fear of reinvention often comes from a concern about failure. People worry that trying something new and not succeeding will be embarrassing or a waste of time. But failure is not exclusive to youth, nor is it something to be feared. The advantage of age is that past failures have already built a stronger mindset, one that is better equipped to handle setbacks and navigate challenges. What once seemed devastating is now simply a learning experience, an opportunity to adjust and move forward with greater knowledge. Change is not reserved for the young. Reinvention is not dependent on age, but on willingness. Those who refuse to let their past define their future discover that life is not a linear path with a single purpose, but a series of opportunities to evolve. The only true barrier to change is the belief that it is no longer possible. Once that belief is shattered, the possibilities become limitless. As people age, they often find themselves feeling disconnected from the world around them. Friends move on, family members become preoccupied with their own lives, and social circles that once felt vibrant begin to shrink. This sense of isolation can be painful, leading many to believe that loneliness is an unavoidable consequence of getting older. But the reality is that loneliness is not something that simply happens, it is the result of passivity. Relationships are not static, they require effort, intentionality, and an openness to new connections at every stage of life. Many people assume that friendships and relationships should form naturally, the way they often did in youth. In school or early adulthood, connections are built through shared experiences, structured environments, and the constant presence of new people. As life progresses, those built-in opportunities diminish. This can make it seem as though relationships are slipping away, when in truth, they are simply demanding a different approach. Unlike in youth, where proximity often determined friendships, meaningful relationships in later years must be cultivated through active participation. One of the greatest obstacles to overcoming loneliness is the belief that younger generations do not value the perspectives of older individuals. This assumption creates an unnecessary divide between age groups, preventing meaningful interactions from taking place. In reality, people of all ages crave wisdom, guidance, and genuine connection. The key is to engage with curiosity rather than retreat in frustration. Instead of seeing generational differences as barriers, they can be viewed as opportunities for exchange, offering insight while also remaining open to new ways of thinking. Social isolation also thrives when people wait for others to make the first move. The expectation that family members, friends, or society at large should take responsibility for maintaining relationships often leads to disappointment. The truth is that meaningful interactions must be sought out. Reaching out, showing up, and investing in others are essential actions for keeping loneliness at bay. Whether through community involvement, mentorship, or even small acts of kindness, taking the initiative to connect with others shifts the dynamic from passive isolation to active engagement. Loneliness is not an inevitable outcome of aging. It is a challenge that requires deliberate action to overcome. By shifting focus from what has been lost to what can still be created, relationships become a source of fulfillment rather than a reminder of absence. The world has not turned away, it is simply waiting for those who are willing to step forward and participate. As people move through life, their sense of purpose and meaning evolves. In youth, meaning is often tied to ambition, building a career, achieving goals, proving oneself, and striving toward an ideal future. These pursuits provide motivation, structure, and a sense of direction. However, as time passes, priorities shift. The external markers of success that once felt so important begin to lose their hold, and a deeper question emerges: what now? Many individuals struggle with this transition because they have tied their identity too closely to their earlier ambitions. When careers wind down, children grow up, or long-held goals are achieved or abandoned, there can be a profound sense of emptiness. It may feel as though life has lost its direction, as if the best years are behind them. But this feeling is not a sign that life is over. It is a signal that the definition of meaning must evolve. Meaning in later years is no longer about proving worth, but about contributing in a way that is deeply fulfilling. The wisdom accumulated over decades is not meant to be locked away. It is meant to be shared. Whether through mentorship, teaching, community involvement, or simply being a guiding presence in the lives of others, the greatest impact often comes from what is given rather than what is achieved. The focus shifts from personal success to a broader sense of significance, helping others grow, leaving behind a legacy, and finding joy in deeper connections. One of the most overlooked aspects of meaning is that it does not always require grand gestures or public recognition. It can be found in small but profound moments: listening to a friend who needs support, sharing a story that offers guidance, or simply being present in a way that brings comfort to others. These acts may seem minor, but they carry an immeasurable weight. When meaning is tied only to external achievements, it is fragile. But when it is rooted in something deeper, the ability to positively influence others, to appreciate the present moment, and to continue growing, it becomes unshakable. The challenge is not that life loses meaning with age, but that many fail to recognize how meaning transforms. Those who embrace this shift discover that their greatest purpose may not be in what they once did, but in what they are still capable of doing. Regret is one of the most corrosive emotions a person can experience. It lingers in the mind, replaying past mistakes, missed opportunities, and choices that now seem flawed in hindsight. Many people, as they grow older, become consumed by these thoughts, feeling as though they have wasted time or failed to live up to their potential. This can create a sense of helplessness, as if the past has already determined the future and there is no way to change the outcome. But this perspective is not only unhelpful, it is also deeply misleading. The truth is that regret is not a life sentence. It is simply a signal that something meaningful still matters, and the antidote to regret is gratitude. Gratitude is not about denying the mistakes of the past or pretending that everything has been perfect. It is about shifting focus from what is missing to what remains. It is easy to dwell on what could have been different, but this does nothing to change reality. What does create change is recognizing what is still possible. No matter how much time has passed, there are always opportunities to contribute, to learn, to love, and to grow. The past is fixed, but the present is still within control. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is that it forces a reevaluation of past experiences. Many of the things that once seemed like failures were actually necessary steps toward wisdom. The struggles, disappointments, and even the painful moments shaped resilience and understanding. Without them, the depth of perspective that comes with age would not exist. Recognizing this transforms regret into something useful and appreciation for the lessons learned, rather than a fixation on what was lost. Practicing gratitude also changes the way the future is approached. Instead of seeing life as a dwindling resource, it becomes an opportunity to make the most of what remains. Time is only wasted when it is spent obsessing over what cannot be changed. The most valuable years are often the ones where a person finally understands what truly matters, and it is never too late to apply that understanding. Every day that is lived with gratitude is a day not controlled by regret. The past does not define the future unless it is allowed to. By shifting focus to appreciation for what is still within reach, life regains its richness, and the weight of regret begins to fade.